Welcome back to the Chan and Treasure Hunter. Today we're talking about big money Kennedy half-dollar coins, specifically the 1996, 1999, and 2000 coins from the United States of America. Many people think these coins are common, but some versions are actually worth much more than 50 cents. If you have Kennedy half-dollars at home, in a collection, or even in old rolls, you might be holding a hidden treasure. So stay with me as we break down what makes these coins valuable, which ones to look for, and how collectors make money from them. Let's get started. First up, the Kennedy half-dollar from the year 1995, without a mint mark, made in the United States of America, and this coin has a strong emotional and historical connection for collectors because the Kennedy half-dollar was first released after the assassination of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, and by 1995, it had already become a long-running symbol of American history, patriotism, and remembrance. And when a coin has no mint mark, it means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally does not use a mint mark on circulating coinage, and this detail is extremely important for beginners and advanced collectors alike, because mint location affects rarity, survival rates, and long-term value, and the 1995 Philadelphia Kennedy half-dollar was produced mainly for circulation during a time when half-dollars were not commonly used in everyday commerce, which means many were saved, but also many entered circulation and experienced wear, making condition a key factor in value and collectability. The composition of the 1995 Kennedy half-dollar without mint mark is copper-nickel clad, which means it is not made of silver, and this is very important because many people confuse earlier silver Kennedy half-dollars with later clad versions, and silver versions stopped being made for general circulation after 1970, and by 1995 the coin consisted of an outer layer of copper-nickel, bonded to a pure copper core, giving it durability for circulation but not intrinsic precious metal value, and this is why most of the value comes from condition collector demand and historical interest rather than metal content, and understanding this helps collectors avoid overpaying and help sellers price their coins realistically. When we talk about condition, the term very fine refers to a circulated coin that shows moderate wear but still retains clear major design elements on both the obverse and reverse, and on a very fine Kennedy half-dollar you can still clearly see Kennedy's hair outlines, facial features, and the lettering around the edge, while some of the finer details are worn smooth, and on the reverse the eagle wing shield and overall shape remains strong though lighter in detail, and this level of condition is common for circulated half-dollars from the 1990s because they were occasionally used in casinos, banks, and vending operations, and a very fine example is attractive to collectors who enjoy coins with honest circulation, wear, and history. Now let us talk about value, because this is what most people want to know, and the 1995 Kennedy half-dollar without mint mark in very fine condition is generally worth slightly more than face value, and in most cases the value ranges from about $1 to $2 depending on eye appeal, demand, and local market conditions, and while this may seem small, it is important to understand that modern circulating coins are collected in large sets and albums, and many collectors seek affordable examples to complete year and mint collections, and this steady demand helps maintain value above face value even decades after release. The mintage for the 1995 Kennedy half-dollar struck at the Philadelphia Mint was in the tens of millions, which means it is not a rare coin, but rarity is not the only factor in collecting, and availability in higher grades is more limited, because many coins were handled, stacked, and circulated, and coins in very fine condition represent a balance between affordability and visual detail, making them ideal for educational collections, beginner sets, and long-term appreciation based on nostalgia and series popularity rather than scarcity alone. Historically, the Kennedy half-dollar represents a transition in American coin usage, and by 1995 the half-dollar was no longer widely used in daily transactions, which makes coins from this era interesting because they tell the story of changing economic habits, banking systems, and public preferences, and many younger collectors first encountered half-dollars through family collections or bankrolls rather than pocket change. And this emotional connection adds to the appeal of the coin even when the monetary value is modest. For collectors who want to preserve a 1995 Kennedy half-dollar in very fine condition, proper storage is important, and the coin should be kept in a dry environment away from humidity and direct handling, and using a cardboard flip or plastic holder helps prevent further wear and discoloration, and while cleaning may seem tempting, it should always be avoided because cleaning can damage the surface, reduce collector value, and remove the natural patina that tells the story of the coin's life in circulation. If you are thinking about selling or buying this coin, it is recommended to compare prices from coin shops, online marketplaces, and collector forums, and always look at actual sold listings rather than asking prices, and remember that coins are worth what someone is willing to pay at a given moment, and building relationships with local dealers and collectors can help you get fair value and learn more about the hobby as a whole, which often becomes more rewarding than the value of any single coin. For a channel focused on coin collecting education, the 1995 Kennedy half dollar without mint mark is a perfect topic because it is accessible, relatable, and easy for viewers to find in their own collections, and discussing grading history, minting process, and value helps build trust and authority with your audience and encourages new collectors to learn rather than chase unrealistic expectations, and this type of honest, educational content keeps viewers engaged longer and builds a loyal subscriber base over time. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1995 Kennedy half dollar from the United States of America, please support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, because every subscription helps bring more long-form educational content to collectors around the world. And whether your coin is worth $1 or far more, the real value is the knowledge, history, and enjoyment you gain from the hobby, and that is what makes coin collecting a lifelong passion worth sharing with others. Next up, the Kennedy half dollar coin from the year 1999 with no mint mark, made in the United States of America. This coin represents a long-running tribute to President John F. Kennedy, and it connects modern coinage with historic memory. The absence of a mint mark means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally does not use a mint mark on circulating coins. This detail is important for collectors because it tells the story of where and how the coin was produced, and it places the coin within the larger history of American money that everyday people used at the end of the 20th century. The Kennedy half dollar series began in 1964, shortly after the assassination of President Kennedy, and it became one of the most emotionally significant coins ever released in America. By 1999, the coin was no longer widely used in daily transactions. Even though it was still legal tender, many people saved them rather than spent them, and that behavior affected how many coins actually circulated, which is why condition like very fine still matters, because it shows honest wear from use while keeping strong design details on the portrait, hair lettering, and eagle. A 1999 Kennedy half dollar without a mint mark is composed of a copper core with outer layers of copper and nickel. Unlike earlier silver issues, collectors sometimes confuse this, but it is important to understand that coins from 1971 onward for circulation do not contain silver. This affects intrinsic metal value, which means the worth of the coin is based on face value, collector demand, condition, and overall interest rather than precious metal content. In very fine condition, the coin shows moderate wear, but all major design elements remain clear. President Kennedy's hair still shows separation. The letters "In Liberty" and "In God We Trust" are readable, and the eagle on the reverse still has visible feather detail. Very fine is a respected mid-level grade that tells a story of circulation and handling, and many collectors enjoy this grade because it feels authentic and historical, rather than untouched. When it comes to value, a 1999 Kennedy half dollar with no mint mark in very fine condition is generally worth close to face value, which is 50 cents. Sometimes it may sell for slightly more depending on demand, but it is not considered rare. Millions were minted and saved. This coin is best viewed as a collectible with educational and historical value rather than a high-profit investment, and that makes it perfect for beginner collectors or history enthusiasts. The mintage for the 1999 Philadelphia Kennedy half dollar was high because it was produced mainly for collectors, and limited circulation this year is interesting because many banks did not distribute half dollars widely, so people often obtained them directly from roll sets or mint products. This explains why worn examples are less common than uncirculated ones, and that gives very fine pieces a unique place in collections. Collectors who focus on date and mint mark sets appreciate the 1999 no mint mark coin as part of a complete run from 1964 to modern times. It helps fill gaps and shows the evolution of the design over decades, from silver to clad composition and from heavy circulation to near disappearance in everyday life. This coin represents a transition era in American currency use. If you are storing this coin, it is best to keep it in a dry place away from moisture, heat, and direct sunlight. Using a simple coin flip or holder can help preserve its condition. Do not clean the coin because cleaning can reduce collector value, even for common dates. Natural wear is preferred over artificial shine, and learning proper handling is part of becoming a knowledgeable collector. For those building a channel or collection journey, this coin is a great teaching example. It allows discussion of mint marks, grading, composition history, and realistic values. It helps set honest expectations for new collectors and shows that coin collecting is not only about rare treasures but also about understanding everyday objects and the stories they carry through time. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1999 Kennedy half dollar, please support the channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing. Future videos will explore more United States coins, their values, grading tips, and collecting advice. Your support helps grow a community of collectors and history lovers and keeps the passion for numismatics alive for the next up. The Kennedy half dollar from the year 2000 with no mint mark, made in the United States of America, and this coin is deeply connected to American history, culture, and everyday life. This video is designed for collectors, beginners, investors, and anyone curious about coins, and by the end of this long journey you will understand why this particular coin still matters even though it is modern and often misunderstood. We will talk about history, design, metal content, mintage, errors, condition, grading, market value, collecting tips, storage myths, and long-term outlook, and we will do it slowly, clearly, and in great depth so you can relax, listen, and truly learn as if you were sitting with a professional coin expert sharing stories and knowledge passed down through generations. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964, shortly after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy, and the coin was created as a tribute to his legacy and leadership. It quickly became one of the most emotional and symbolic coins in American coinage history. By the year 2000, the design was already decades old, but it still carried meaning and recognition. The obverse shows a left-facing portrait of President Kennedy with strong detail and dignity, while the reverse shows the presidential coat of arms with an eagle, shield, stars, and olive branch and arrows symbolizing peace and strength. The designer names Gilroy Roberts and Frank Gasparo are part of the legacy of this coin, even if many people never notice them. A Kennedy half dollar from the year 2000 without a mint mark means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, since Philadelphia coins often do not carry a mint mark. This is very important for identification. The metal composition of this coin is copper-nickel clad, which means it has an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. Unlike earlier silver versions, this change affects intrinsic value but not collector interest. The weight, diameter, and thickness are standardized, and the coin was intended primarily for circulation, although many were saved by collectors, which impacts rarity today. When we talk about condition, very fine condition means the coin shows moderate wear, but all major design elements are still clear. President Kennedy hair details may be worn, but visible. The lettering is readable, and the eagle on the reverse still has feather detail, though not sharp. This level of condition is common for circulated coins, and it tells a story of real use and handling. Grading is essential because value can change dramatically based on condition. A very fine coin is not rare, but it is honest and original, and many collectors appreciate that authenticity more than artificial shine. Now let's talk about value, because this is what most people are curious about. A 2000 Kennedy half dollar without mint mark in very fine condition is generally worth face value or slightly above face value in most markets, typically around $1 to $2 depending on demand, location, and buyer, sometimes a bit more if sold in bulk or as part of a collection. It is important to understand that this coin does not contain silver, so its value is based on collectability rather than metal content. However, value can increase if there are errors, varieties, or exceptional eye appeal. Errors are where excitement can happen. Some 2000 Kennedy half dollars may show off center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or weak strikes. These are not common, but they exist, and when authenticated they can significantly raise value, sometimes into tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on the error type and clarity. This is why it is always recommended to examine coins closely under good lighting and magnification, and never clean them, because cleaning destroys value and originality, which collectors strongly care about. Paragraph 7. Collecting modern Kennedy half dollars is a rewarding long-term hobby. Many people start with simple circulation finds and slowly build date sets, mint sets, or condition-based sets. The year 2000 is an accessible entry point and is often used by new collectors to learn grading, comparison, and storage techniques. Storing coins in a cool, dry environment using proper holders, flips, or albums will preserve condition and value over time, and keeping records, notes, and photos adds educational enjoyment to the process. There are many myths surrounding half dollars. Some people believe they are no longer legal tender, which is false. Others believe all Kennedy half dollars are silver, which is also false. Understanding facts is crucial. Knowledge protects you from misinformation and helps you make better collecting decisions. Modern coins may not seem exciting at first, but over decades interest can grow, especially as circulation examples become scarcer and nostalgia increases. From an investment perspective, this coin should not be viewed as a quick profit item. Instead, it is a stable educational collectible with modest potential appreciation over very long periods. Paired with historical interest and emotional connection to a beloved president, it fits best in a diversified collection rather than as a standalone investment. Learning patience is part of coin collecting, and enjoyment often comes more from the journey than the price tag. In conclusion, the United States of America Kennedy half dollar from the year 2000 without mint mark in very fine condition is a genuine piece of modern history. It may not make you rich overnight, but it offers knowledge connection and the foundation of a meaningful hobby. Every coin has a story, and this one speaks of remembrance, continuity, and everyday American life. If you found this deep dive helpful, take a moment to look at your own coins, because you never know what history you might be holding in your hand. Thanks for watching.